Okay. Okay, hi everyone, good morning. Welcome to the CGC Podcast. My name is Noreen, your moderator for today. And today we have a very interesting topic to talk about. Title topik hari ini adalah Gen Talk, Conversations Across Time. So with me I have a lovely selection of guests for today, all of whom are wearing dad caps. Kenapa tu? But before we deep dive into that further, let's introduce our panelists for today. Okay, how about we start with you to my right here?
We want to start with pantun first.
Oh, pantun dulu. Okay, sure.
Mentari terbit bukanlah tinggi. Jalan sendiri menunggu sinar. Assalamualaikum dan selamat pagi. Semoga podcast ini berjalan lancar.
Right. Bunga mawar di dalam gua. Daun melayang di tasik cini. Apa khabar hadirin semua? Selamat datang ke podcast ini.
Ya, mesti ada punya. So, burung merpati terbang tinggi hingga di dahan pohon akasia. Kita bersatu membina harmoni, menyatukan jurang antara generasi.
Itu dia. Dengar cerita, diorang dah spend all night for the last few weeks nak merangkap pantun tu.
Kau biasa-biasa.
Okay, thank you for the pantun tu. So memang in line lah dengan kita punya topik hari ni, generational conversations. Gen Talk, understanding different generations. How does that relate to leadership and our parenting styles lah. But okay, let's jump into introductions.
Right.
Shah,
Right.
welcome to the show.
Thank you, Noreen. Good morning.
Good morning.
Right. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Right, host Noreen, panel, Khalil and Azizi. My name is Ardia Shah bin Ali Mudin, but you can call me Shah. Right, I am the father of 3 kids. Talk about the Gen Talk today, and me myself actually is from generation millennial, and I have 3 wonderful generation Alpha kids. So my eldest son is 9 years old, 11 years old. Second is 9 years old, and the youngest is 6 years old. Right. So talk about Gen Talk today, right? Is I find out when I'm the millennial father who have 3 generation Alpha kids, have given me the very valuable insight, valuable insight that I find out actually different generation operate differently.
Okay.
So contoh, like me myself, when I was a kid during my generations, if let's say we want to send a message to someone else, it took very long time because you need to find a words, a beautiful words, then combine it, become into one wonderful sentences, and eventually a letter. Then you go to the post office, and then you send that letter out, and wish and hope that that words will flow inside the recipient's heart, touching their heart lah.
Yeah.
So with a lot of hope, right? But that is during my generation. That is how we operate that moment. And that process alone took about 2 to 3 working days just to come up with that message. Today's generation, especially my kids, so when they want to send a message to someone, they just take their phone and then they open their WhatsApp or Telegram. They just send one letter. Letter juga, tapi bukan surat.
Bukan surat lah.
Perkataan. K. Hantar K saja. That's all.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Sometimes they don't even need to send anything. Just blue tick. But that blue tick bring a lot of meaning.
Yep.
Either dia tak nak layan ke dan sebagainya. So
busy ke.
they are very, and then all that process can be happen not even 1 minute. So everything is instantaneous, right? So that is how the different generation operate differently. Same goes into the workplace. In the workplace, okay, talk about workplace, right? If let's say you communicate with older generations, baby boomers, Generation X, right? And then when you communicate with Generation Z, you will find out that they will talk about their workplace differently. Some will talk about automation, and some will talk about, I know about the process, about what we call that A to Z and all of the things, what are the, what we call that specific process inside it, the older generation, they will talk about the experience, the wisdom, right? So when that generation gap also happen in the workplace. That's why I find today's topic is quite interesting lah, sangat menarik lah. Kita ada generation talk, right? Okay, talk about workplace. Me myself actually is a head of process excellence. So my role as a head of process actually is to drive the continuous improvement, working together with other department, other division to improve the process, right? Reduce turnaround time, improve quality, right? Reduce costs and so on and so forth, right? And then before I joined CGC, I'm in CGC about 3 years already.
Okay.
Before I joined CGC, actually I joined a lot of industry like military. Previously, I pernah join Watania, right?
Okay.
And then I also commissioned as Lieutenant Muda.
I see. Okay.
And then after that, I joined manufacturing, medical devices, aviation, training on consolidations, e-commerce, macam-macam, right? So this diverse industry actually meaning that I also have a chance to work with different generation, from baby boomers until Generation Z.
Right.
Okay, so some of the industry they are more skewed to baby boomers. Contoh macam manufacturing masa I first join lah, banyak baby boomers, right? And then I myself as a millionaire lah. So when I joined e-commerce warehouse, it's more skewed to Generation Z. Okay, what I'm trying to say here is this diverse industry with a lot of generations, right? Actually, it's enriched my approach to find the best practices, right? To what we call it, to find the best practices to, to adopt to the different generation gaps. So means how can I find an approach that can suit to all the generation? It's quite challenging. I have a story about it, and maybe if let's say time permit, we can share about it, right? Okay, then have I talking about my fun fact about me? Belum lagi. So the fun fact about me is I can speak Mandarin.
Okay.
我可以讲华语。I even can sing.
I wish I can speak Mandarin to know and make sure it's legitimate ke tak.
Oh, you can speak Mandarin?
No, I wish I can.
I see.
I wish I can.
So I'm speaking the truth. So I can speak Mandarin, and then I have a chance to work with the supplier from China, right? And then to conduct the continuous improvement project. Yep. I think that's about me. Yeah, back to you, Nuri. Yeah.
Very, very comprehensive.
So, Shah, one question from me, Shah.
All right.
You say it takes 3 days to. You used to take 3 days to write a letter.
Correct.
How long did it take you to write a letter to your wife?
Write a letter to my wife. Oh, luckily when I meet my wife, that moment is already a Treaty 10 punya era. But Treaty 10 punya era is luckily, but interesting to talk about it. Treaty 10 lain. Last time we want to send a message, we need to pay 20 cents.
20 cents.
Now it's free.
Now
So
it's
we
free,
really need to find again wonderful
Maximize.
words, right? Maximize
the
20 cents.
The 122 characters.
Correct.
Sure, your wife is not Chinese, huh?
No.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good part about it. She cannot speak Mandarin, so she do not know what I'm speaking about.
That's a big advantage.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Shah, for that introduction. Very comprehensive introduction. You've touched a bit about your background. You've touched a bit about the topic for today. Let's dive over to Azizi.
So Shah, that one is introduction first.
Yeah, introduction.
Oh, very long.
Okay.
Okay. Assalamualaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. My name Azizi. I'm with CGC for the past 6 years, since 2018. I'm currently heading a branch at Kelana Jaya. In CGC, we have 16 branches nationwide, except for Perlis. So we are currently, our core activity is essentially sales, marketing and processing, and also asset quality. Okay. I'm in charge of 15 beautiful and very great staff in branches. We call it as a main branch. Previously, I was at KL branch for the past since 2018 until 2022. Okay, I just want to share about how I start my career lah.
Boleh?
I start my career by selling credit cards. Pernah tak sebelum ni you guys pernah kena kejar dengan hunter-hunter credit cards?
Yes.
Ada tak?
Kali.
Kan? So I can proudly say that we are the one yang pioneer on that group.
No wonder I recognize you from somewhere.
Oh yeah. So you are one of our victim last time lah.
Something running from you.
Okay. Okay, the reason why I need to start to share this because it's really a hard job. It's a very you need to be hardworking enough to be a credit card sales, you know. But I really enjoy the journey of being rejected, the journey of being hunted, the journey of getting approval for my clients kan. So basically kalau katakan the moment yang orang macam Khalil ke maybe datang belum buka mulut pun talk to my hand. So that's really educate us how to be a strong person lah at that time. Okay.
Need to deal with rejection.
Yes, correct. But throughout the journey, I learned that the sales marketing is not about pushing products. It's all about building relationships. Increase value of the customers and to suit customers' requirement with our products and service lah. And after I moved to my career now as a SME banking and business banking. So that's about me. Little to share about what is interesting.
Any interesting fact?
I always foresee myself as a future farmer.
Future farmer.
Future farmer.
From banker to farmer.
Yes, correct. I was in bank for the past 20 years. Started career 2003. Dah sekolah belum waktu tu, Nurin?
2003. Saya dah ada satu 2005. Mungkin
Belum
baru
sekolah
4 tahun, 5 tahun kot.
Dia start kerja.
Okay, because I orang kampung. I memang berasal daripada kampung. So I have a small kebun dekat kampung. Where back in 2015 I planted some varieties of durian, so kalau ikutkan dah berbuah lah sekarang kan. Kalau ikutkan, musakin dia kali ada. So kalau ikutkan
rumah dia
tapi my next story is that it's not success as per my expectation. But the plant, the pokok is still there.
Pokok is still there. Belum berbuah je lagi.
Dia lebih kurang pepatah Melayu mengatakan hidup segan mati tak mahu. Okay. Because what? Because of dia bukan sekadar membaca dan menyiram. It's actually you need to have a proper knowledge, complete knowledge. I think I have a knowledge at that time, but it's not enough. You have a complete knowledge, you have strong experience. You need to have more times, especially untuk jaga pokok tu kan.
Jaga pokok tu.
So betul? Untuk mengubat hati yang lara, I ada small kebun jugalah dekat depan rumah now. Okay, you name it lah. Pokok-pokok yang biasa orang kampung tanam kan, pandan, serai, petai pun ada, kelapa, mangga.
Semua senang hidupnya.
Daun kunyit, daun pandan, semua ada. Then in fact, to add the story, I ada beli ayam juga belakang rumah.
Petani,
2 ekor je.
peternak.
Then I also ada beli ikan dekat my big aquarium. Ikan sungai lah. It's not bukan ikan hiasan, ikan sungai. Ikan kelah, ikan sebarau, ikan tengas.
Oh, semua.
So this
Ni
is part of my
betul-betul.
hobby lah. Just to see my hobby lah untuk release tension ke something.
So do you see yourself jadi full-time farmer?
I hope so. I really hope so.
That's your dream lah.
Yes, correct.
you dah pencen. The next step in life is to become full-time farmer lah.
Kalau ada
Boleh
umur
lagi
panjang.
banyak lagi, tambah lagi pokok-pokok.
Kalau ada umur
tambah
panjang,
lagi.
insyaAllah.
InsyaAllah. Okay, very interesting.
That's my story about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you Azizi. Khalil, how about you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Right. So my name is Khalil. I've been in CGC for the past 2.5 years, right? And I'm part of the Gen X, right? So I think both of you are millennials. So we're different generation.
Sure, bukan baby boomers bukan.
Orang tua.
Not that tua lah. Come on, guys.
Not that tua lah.
So I literally say I come from a different generation, right? So I come from a generation, the gung ho. I don't know if anybody's seen that story before, right?
Gung ho generation.
So we do things for for no reason actually. So you say let's say you want to tie your feet to a rubber band and jump off a bridge, we'll do it, right?
Okay.
And that's how bungee jumping was invented.
Right. Okay.
So different, I think that's why we're here. We're trying to understand each other better, So the other just was, why are you guys doing this? And then they said, there's no purpose. We just want to do it, right?
Kita cuba je.
Kita cuba je. And then from there, some people say that when you take a journey, it's not about the destination. It's about the journey, and what you encounter along the way, right?
Betul.
Okay. So
Your interesting fact. Any interesting stories you'd like to share?
So talk about CGC first. So I'm head of process automation. I think a lot of people ask me, what is process automation, right? So in simpler terms, I'd like to say it's like, imagine you have a magical helper that can, do all your boring stuff, the stuff you don't want to do, all the repetitive stuff that you do every day. This helper, he never gets tired, right? And he'll never complain, he'll never make mistakes, and he works super fast. So that's what process automation is all about. So in simple terms, process automation is about, performing tasks that humans usually do, and automating the process. We can do a lot of things like spreadsheets, workflows, things to run smoothly and efficiently without human intervention, right?
I'm assuming you work closely with Shah lah kan?
Correct.
Yeah, very
work
close.
together.
Complement each other.
We complement
Complement
each
each
other.
other.
The generation X versus millennial.
Not versus lah, collaboration. I think.
Together.
Together. Better together.
Versus lawan.
Better together.
Yeah. Okay, so and then just, I started my career in advertising actually, in a very young age. So I started off as a junior copywriter, and that's where I got. And then I'm interested in graphic design, right? So I got my first stint in advertising, and that's where I learned how to use computers, And I got I had the love for computers and evolved from there. So my next step of my career is I went into banking. I was in banking for 14 years, mostly in operations, right? And then in 2019, I had an opportunity of a lifetime to do something else, to learn something new. So at that time, there was something new introduced. It was called robotic process automation.
Robotic process automation.
So I was part of the pioneer team to actually develop the COE and develop automation in the bank, right?
Wow.
So the previous podcast that we had was about upskilling and reskilling.
Right.
So I can say that I'm a testament of that. Right? I've been upskilled and reskilled once. So I don't know the next phase. What else is going to be there, right? So from there I joined a technology company, an MNC technology company. It's a US multinational Fortune 500, right? So from there I learned that like Shah, there's a huge different gaps. But the most interesting was is that I've never met my colleagues, right? And this was before the time of COVID, when working from home, working remote wasn't the norm.
Right.
But at the time we were doing that already.
Okay.
So I had my partner was in Chile, and I had another partner in New Jersey, and another one in Poland, right? So like I said, how we work is actually it's cross borders now, right? You don't actually need to be there to actually.
You don't have to be there physically.
Yeah, but you can get the work done, right? So, interesting fact about me, right? I actually learned how to speak Bahasa Malaysia at the age of 12.
Oh, why is that?
Yeah. So this was because I had the opportunity to grow up overseas. Right?
Wow, where, if I can ask?
In the US, right?
In the US, okay. So for how long?
I was there for 12 years.
12 years. Oh, I see. So did you struggle a lot when you came back for the first time?
This is why we talk about the time difference, So this happened, you have to remember I'm from which generation? This happened 30 years ago. So 30 years ago, there was no internet, news didn't fly that fast. People even probably didn't know what a Malaysian was, They thought it was a Vietnamese.
Vietnamese. I thought you were Vietnam.
You got mistaken as a Vietnamese. Okay.
You are Malaysian, right?
I am, yes. I am.
How do you
I'm
prove
proud to be. Like an IC. I can show you my IC, but I didn't bring my wallet. So but I'm blessed, I'm really, bersyukur that we came back to Malaysia, right? Because this country is, the patah Melayu say what? Maka tak kenal, maka tak cinta, right?
Hujan batu di negeri.
Hujan batu is a different story. Just, that time no global warming yet, right? It was nice and sunny, right? Yeah. So it made me think, that diverse cultures, in Malaysia, how we live in harmony, and it has to pertain to the generation as well, right? Okay, I think that's all from me.
So, okay, thank you so much, Khalil, for sharing that. So I think we have everyone dah dengar lah. Very varied experiences, different generations. So very exciting and very excited also to talk about this. So let's then deep dive into this. Why are we talking about this topic today? Why are we talking about generational differences to begin with?
Why we need to talk about Gen Talk? First of all, we need to see what is the definition of Gen Talk.
Okay.
Gen Talk is actually a platform where different age of groups, people from different age of groups talk together, have a good conversations, and they learn each other, they understand each other, and they respect each other. So the reason why we need to have a talk, because bila dah buat semua tu, they will close the gap.
Right.
Older generation dengan young generation ni gap je sebenarnya. So bila they have good conversation, in general lah, so they akan close the gap. So if you ask me personally, why we need to talk about this, because I'm a father, and also I'm a leader. So as a father, if you fail to take care of this, you will see there's no understanding dalam family. And also as a leader, if you doesn't care about this, as a manager, as a leader, you will feel that there's no understanding dalam your team. Bila tak ada understanding, dia akan pergi kepada no teamwork. So you can imagine how dalam team dalam apa what you call that, dalam team ataupun dalam family tak ada teamwork dan tak ada understanding. So dia akan contribute to the bad punya ni lah. There's no growth in the family and also there's no growth in the team. And let me share you about my experience masa I kerja credit card dulu kan. It's actually dalam group tu it's supposed to be fresh graduate. It's 12 hours, semua kan baru nak cari kerja kan. So basically at that time dalam my group ada seorang so called baby boomers lah. Baby boomers bukan baby baby boomers ni.
Bukan baby. Dah besar dah dia.
So this kakak lah, we call it kakak lah. Dia senior, having like 10 or 15 years bekerja dekat bank very experienced. I so understand until now why they joined us at that time. Tapi disebabkan kita tak ada leader, only one manager there, so they distribute us into 3 group, 4 of us in one group. So we doing sales. You know lah, jual credit card kan, pergi shopping mall, pergi bangunan-bangunan kerajaan. It's very all the manual kan.
Yes,
so, kejar orang sana, kejar orang sini. So she act as a leader tau. So most of the time kita akan bergaduh dengan dia. So macam kenapa ni kan? Ada je benda tak betul kan? So kita nak buka booth kat sini, this is the kena ikut je dia mana-mana dia nak pergi kan. So sebenarnya at that time we doesn't aware on this gen stock how to communicate. So pada waktu itu we just want to settle out ourselves because 3 of us is actually same age, kecuali kakak lah baby boomers tu. So bila kita talk we plan about kita tak nak gaduh lah dengan this lady kan. So how about we get along. And first month, second month memang bergaduh. So nak masuk bulan ketiga tu kita try to get along, communicate, dinner, jual credit card malam-malam kan, dinner each other having
cuba nak rapat lah.
Yes, so bila kita understand each other, we respect each other, we have a good communication with that lady, with that kakak, kita jadi top team at that time. And surprisingly, kakak tu jadi my friend until now. So
versus jadi kawan.
yes, correct. Until now, kadang-kadang kalau kita jumpa pun kita ketawa, dulu pun nak bergaduh. Something like that. So it's very important on how we handle the Gen K punya ni. That's my point.
Okay, so we need to talk about generational differences in order to understand each other better and to work better together, not just at home but also in the workplace lah.
So the reason why kita nak berbaik dengan kakak tu at that time lah, we are fresh graduate.
Yes.
Kita tak ada kereta, kena tumpang kereta. Masa tu
Ada agenda lain lah.
Short term.
Short term rewards.
Yes.
But long term benefit.
Yes, correct.
So you know, talking about that, the different gaps. So another thing is why we need to talk about this is because there's a research says that by 2030, 30% of the
2013 or 2030?
2030, 30, right? 30% of the workforce is going to be Gen Z.
30%.
30%.
Wow.
My generation then.
Yeah, your generation.
Yeah, my generation.
So we need to understand them, what motivates them, what drives them, and how we're going to work with them to cater to the
So we need to understand.
I think, in order to understand, right? Just now, it's a good point. The different generation, just now I mentioned about they operate differently, right? So how they want to understand each other. If let's say they don't understand each other, it becomes versus.
Yep.
Yes.
Right? So if let's say,
Bercanggah.
correct, then the keyword is something that already been highlighted by Azizi just now. It's a communication. So they need to communicate each other. Let me share a story that I read recently about, I want to talk about parents first.
Okay.
About the fathers who come from the generation X, and he have a kids who is generation Alpha. So this generation X father, he have he thinks that the gadget will give a bad influence to the kids, to the generation Alpha kid. So what he have done is he prohibit the gadget to his kids. So dia tak bagi anak dia main phone, right?
Langsung lah.
Yes, kesian ke anak dia lah. Why kesian? Because when this generation Alpha kids go back to the school and then want to join their friends, their friend is also come from generation Alpha, then what happened is their generation Alpha talk about the latest trend dekat dalam YouTube and TikTok. While this Alpha kids, he doesn't know about it because dia tak ada phone.
So they felt left out lah.
He felt left out, they felt neglected, become isolated.
Yeah.
Now it become a barrier between this Alpha kid and also this father. Why? Because this Alpha kid think about his father is outdated, tak faham pasal teknologi. Second part is he thinks that his father, what we call that, do not care about him. Yang paling teruk sekali, the very bad part is, he thinks that his father do not trust him.
I see.
Because deep in this kid's heart, dia fikir kenapa dia tak boleh jadi macam anak yang lain. So,
dengan kawan-kawan.
yes, dia menjadikan satu barrier antara ayah daripada Generation X dan juga anak daripada Generation Alpha. So the reason is because they do not have a mutual understanding. Why? Because they do not communicate each others. But the good part about this father is dia aware about dia punya anak punya condition lah. So dia pun start communicate. Dia start tanya anak dia, he start to ask his son, why you behave like this? I see that you are very sad. So anak dia pun start to feedback. Because I feel isolated in the school.
Malu.
Oh ya, malu sebab anak-anak yang lain cerita pasal trend yang terkini, skibidi bom-bom, right? Tapi dia tak tahu apa tu skibidi kan. So you tak tahu ke kan? Takkan tak ada handphone. So dia pun cerita dekat ayah dia begitulah. Dan ayah dia kata, actually I bukan tak nak bagi you main phone, but you tahu phone tu mempunyai banyak pengaruh yang tak baik. So I don't want you to be influenced by the bad influence lah. So the kid say actually that bukan dia bukan sahaja ada bad influence, but they also have a lot of good side about it. Banyak benda-benda baik dalam phone tu. So ayah dia pun tanya, ada ke perkara baik kan? Dan dia kata ada, sebab dalam TikTok dia ada satu influencer yang ajar macam mana nak menyelesaikan masalah matematik dengan cepat. Tapi dia tak tahu, yang kawan-kawan dia semua dah tahu. Jadi dia neglect. So ayah dia pun tahu ada kesilapan dekat situ. Dan ayah dia dah faham, ayah dia pun deep dive a little bit lah apa kegunaan gadget ni untuk anak dia. So dia pun cuba memahami teknologi tu dan dia dapati betul lah apa yang anak dia cakap. And then bila dia memahami, they go deep a little bit, they find out actually ada parental control kat dalam tu. They can control about it, right? They have
We can use Google Parental Control also. It's one of the tools we can use to actually, monitor the screen time of our kids, what websites they're going to.
Yeah, exactly.
So technology is actually an enabler to all this.
Correct.
Bridging the gap between generations as well.
Correct. So how they know about it? Because they start with communication. The communication is very important. Allow me to share a story in my workplace, boleh? Saya suka bercerita, boleh? Kalau panjang sangat, stop ah.
Boleh.
So let me so talk about a workplace. Tadi tu dekat
That's your research that you read kan?
Dekat family. Yang ni apa yang berlaku dekat saya.
Yang personally happen to you lah.
Correct. Sini berkaitan dengan millennial ni versus generation Z. Orang yang lagi muda, generation Z lah.
Generation saya lah.
Yes, correct. That moment I've been assigned, I memang bekerja di sebuah consultation firm, and I'm acting as an analyst lah.
Right.
So I've been assigned to one company to involve with one of the ongoing continuous improvement project. So what I found out, there's a one generation Z. Kita panggil dia Mr. Z lah. So this Mr. Z, he's very enthusiastic. Dia sangat bersungguh-sungguh, he's very hardworking, very good. And dia pun ada banyak teknologi lah, punya pengetahuan, knowledge. So what he tried to do is he tried to digitalize, he tried to transform the process to make it digitalized, right? Dia nak buat transformation yang besar-besaran. So everything about manual, digitalize it. Then when I come in, I put a stop.
Okay.
Stop doing that. Then dia pun frustrated. Dia frustrated, kenapa kita nak laju ni? I tengah ada semangat dan tiba-tiba you stop saya ni, kenapa? Right, and then sampai satu tahap di mana he feel like he want to pull himself out from the project. Dia dah give up. Wah, ni analyst nak datang nak tunjuk pandai lah ni kan, something like that. So I kata, then I start to communicate. Again, communication. So I start to communicate with him. Okay, Mr. Z, datang sini. Then I nak share dengan you my previous project. So before you want to digitalize your process, the first thing that you need to do is to understand your process first.
Correct.
Why? Because it's not all the activity you need to automate it. Some of the activity you can straight away eliminate it without even need to automate it.
Okay.
So in order to know which process need to be eliminated, you have to understand your process first.
I see.
And the Z cakap, macam mana I nak faham proses I tak tahu. That is where the older generation come in. You have to work together, collaborate together. And the worst part is there are some process yang ada berlaku error. Tapi error tu sebelum ni, sebab machine belum automate lagi, dia happen manually. Error tu berlaku manually. Jadi kita boleh detect sebab ada approval checker. Tapi bila kita automate proses tu, the error happen automatically.
I see.
automate
Okay.
That is a big risk. Jadi kebanyakan berlaku dekat General Alpha based on my experience. Diorang sangat bagus. Diorang ada teknologi punya knowledge. They want to make it as fast as possible. But however, they always overlook about the risk. They always overlook about the unnecessary process. That's where the experience need to come in. So when we do that, we communicate, we say, hey, actually you can eliminate the unnecessary process. Right? Once they eliminate the unnecessary process, that means there are certain part yang tak payah automate. That means the investment cost can be reduced.
Yep.
So what happened after that is the investment reduced significantly. Dan generation Z ni pun dapat belajar. So dia kata, oh baru I faham. This is how it operates. So if let's say I don't do that, what will be happen? I will automatically generate the error.
Yes.
Kan?
Betul.
The worst part dia pergi kat customer, lagi jadi customer complaint.
Yes,
Right?
betul.
So that is where they learn together, collaborate together and close the gaps. Right? So the keyword is communication.
Communication.
Okay. Ada lagi sorry, boleh tambah sikit lagi?
Boleh.
Silakan.
That's about my individual punya pengalaman lah. Right? About industry. Industri, ada tak industri yang betul-betul value this generational difference punya apa kita panggil ni concept, right? Ada satu company yang really embrace that this generational difference concept, right? Like General Electric. So what happened in General Electric in 1990s? They're introducing a mentoring program.
Mentoring program.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So, but the unique about this mentoring program is they do it reverse mentoring. What is meant by reverse mentoring means instead of having an older generation become a mentor, dia buat lain sikit. Dijadikan golongan muda, the younger generation become the mentor and the older generation become a mentee.
Okay, it's like the story of like the intern. I don't know if you guys
The
seen
intern,
that.
yes. Anne Hathaway.
Robert De Niro dengan Anne Hathaway.
Yeah. Correct.
Kind of like that. Not
Correct.
100% lah.
That's a good movie to watch.
Yes,
because
yes.
in that movie you betul-betul boleh nampak generation gap kat sana.
Yes, you
And
see
then-
Robert De Niro bawa briefcase
Oh,
dia.
yes.
And Anne Hathaway macam, I'll just email you.
Correct,
And then he physically comes, do I need to do anything to help you? Kan?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
That movie is really good to watch.
Yep.
Lah, Right, so that's mean this generational difference is not something fundamental. It's very important to embrace because some big company like GE, they really look into it, they take action onto it, and then they really want to bridging the gap between the older generation and younger generation. So with that reverse mentoring, the older generation will understand what are the technology they can apply
Yep.
to make the process faster.
Yep.
While the younger generation will understand what are the process that they need to look into based on the experience from the older generation.
So it's
they
a
work
win-win
together.
situation lah.
Correct. So that is on the industry level. If we don't really value about this generation, what worse can be done? Apa yang boleh berlaku teruk kan? So means kalau kita tak value generational difference ni, right? One of the things yang can be happen is we can draw the lesson from the company called Kodak lah. Pernah dengar Kodak?
Kodak the
Sempat
film,
dengar,
the
Film
film kan?
Yes, nasib baik
Okay,
sebenarnya.
okay.
Sebab-
Tahu.
Okay.
Sempat lagi.
So, what happened with Kodak company, right? So, they are the inventor of digital camera. But however, they fail to, what we call that, produce a product that fulfill the evolvement of the technology. Sebab dia masih stuck dengan film-based
Right.
camera, right? So as a result, what worse can be happen? They faced the bankruptcy in 2012 because of their failing to embrace the generational difference.
So I think like Kodak, they had this tagline, in the 90s. They call it the Kodak moment.
The Kodak moment. Okay.
So everything is about the Kodak moment, the nostalgia. So in this case, I think the Kodak moment didn't last forever.
Oh,
They-
it was just
I
for
think,
a moment.
I think they thought the Kodak moment would last forever.
Yeah.
Because
But-
it's a Kodak
Moment.
moment.
Yeah. Just sekejap je.
That's good job, yeah. So that is something, the lesson that we can draw from that. So what I try to say here is the communication of the what we call that?
Generations.
Generational difference is very important. Yep.
To stay relevant, to adapt to changes, to ensure that we can work together as a team. Sebab there will always be new generations coming. Takkan kita je yang hidup dalam dunia ni stay macam tu je kan. There will always be new people that you're going to meet. It doesn't matter if they're younger than you, if they're older than you, from a different culture probably. If there's no generational gaps, there might be cultural gaps. So we need to understand why this topic is so important, so that we know what tools we need to use and why it's important to talk about this. I see everyone here is wearing their dad caps. So everyone's here, father?
Yes.
Okay, very very proud. Fathers memang dah plan lah. Oh, hari ni kita nak pakai dad caps. We put on our dad caps today.
We literally put on our dad caps. Instead of...
So I guess then, since you guys are parents, right? How can we draw similarities between your own parenting strategies with your own children who are a different generation than you, and how do you apply that at work? And dealing with different generations.
I think there's a lot of angle we need to see.
Okay.
Since Shah elaborate in the communication skills, kan, I just want to add up on the communications punya topik lah. In terms of communication, kita kena clear.
Okay.
Clear communication is the key as a father and also as a leader. Say for example, as a father, you want your kids to balik rumah pukul 6, contoh. Ataupun balik awal lah. Then the way the thing that we need to shout at our kids is that balik rumah pukul 6.
Yes.
Jangan balik rumah awal. So by having said that, our kids will be clear apa yang we expected, kan.
Right.
So as a leader also, when you assign task to our team, don't say please get to me soon as possible or end of the day. So because the end of the day definition might be different.
So 11:59, 59 seconds pun end of day.
So tak clear.
I have experience on also lah. So when we say end of the day, in my mind, end of the day is 5:30 p.m. end of the workday. But when you tell another person, actually it's 12 p.m. at night. That's the end of the day.
So that is the basis of non-clear communication. So for me, if I sign, if there's a task to be completed, I always ask my team to complete it by 5 or by 5:30 tomorrow. So within that, we will follow up.
Clear.
Yes, correct. So other than that, the most important thing, another important thing is behavior lah. Behavior to show to our kids and behavior to show to our teams. Okay. Because contoh macam as a father, if you want your kids untuk menunaikan solat, bapa kena solat dululah.
Yes, lead by example.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, betul. This is for disclaimer lah.
Yes,
disclaimer.
yes,
Before we go further, I try to be best father as I can. So this message is especially for me and for anyone, for us. So those yang ada dekat luar sana, if you think this is not relevant, just beri lah. So the message that we say just now is specifically for us lah. So sambung balik yang tadi. If you want our kids to be clean, kita kena bersih dulu. Betul. Kan, jaga kebersihan. Same goes to the leader. If you want your staff ataupun your team members to be punctual, you kena punctual dululah. Kan? So kalau katakan your boss pun sampai lambat, running kan, you ask us to come early, any appointment kan, you pun lambat, doesn't really meaningful kan. So having said that, I summarize that lead by example lah is the keyword.
Lead by example.
Yes, correct.
So I like to add on to that lah. So on the similarities, right? I think any generation, everybody will want to respect the independence, right? So I have a story with my kid lah, right? So I have a 13-year-old boy growing up. He's a avid gamer, right? So on weekends I try to ask him out, like, hey, let's go out, let's go hang out. I say no, I have my schedule is full. I said, huh? Your schedule is full. Yeah, and it turns out in our time we used to play one game at a time.
Yeah.
But in his zaman, he's playing multiple games. So in the morning he has a Roblox session with his another group of friends, and then in the afternoon and evening he'll have a session on ML. I don't know what is ML. Mobile Legends. I only know Bang Bang. That's all. So he has his team with Bang Bang. So I asked him, then what about me? I can schedule you 30 minutes at this time. I say, good enough.
He is a disciplined gamer.
I see.
Hopefully he doesn't become professional.
A professional gamer can earn.
Yeah, I know. Well, we'll see. So to me, it's like I mentioned, like I'm a father. You know, I think Shah, if it's this our zaman, we probably, you know,
Yeah.
we probably get a slap in the face.
Oh, correct. Kalau I cakap dengan ayah I, dia kena hormat I punya privacy, memang dia punya kelajuan slap tu lebih laju daripada laju bunyi.
Just like that, kalau katakan the way we communicate to our kids nowadays kan, in term of what they want to be in the future.
Yep.
Macam our time dulu, we study, got degree, we want to find a stable job. Simple.
Right.
Kan? Itu yang jual credit card tu.
Betul.
Yang kerja kali. But now, when with this kind of technologies kan grows, then we will ask our kids nak jadi apa kan? They will shout about the works that never exist before.
Yeah.
Right.
YouTubers, content creator, you know, software engineer,
More towards
influencer,
digital kan?
podcast producer,
Podcast host.
Podcast host.
Influencer.
If you say this podcast host last for the past 10 years, you tahu podcast tu
Podcast tu apa?
podcast tu apa. So my kids, I tanya personally, you nak jadi apa? I want to be a professional gamers. So you think as a father macam betul ni kan? Nak rasa marah tak boleh.
Yes,
Because
yes.
they are who they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is their generation.
Correct.
That's how they operate.
Correct. So as a father, we need to balance out.
Yep.
And we really appreciate, kita encourage to have this technology. Can you follow? Tapi at the same time, I'm always remind my kids to enjoy the meaningful of simple life lah, you know.
Yeah.
Pergi jumpa keluar, lari-lari dekat luar.
Tengok langit,
enjoy.
tanam
correct.
pokok.
Yes, conversation. Even tu kalau kita naik kereta pun dia suruh buka YouTube kat dalam phone, dalam kereta kan. Cannot. So that's about it lah.
I guess then back to Khalil's point on independence, right? I guess as leaders then you need to celebrate your team's independence as well. You need to adapt to different people, different generations have their own style of working. I guess then we need to celebrate that. I guess as leaders, you guys also need to adapt not just to the independence styles of your kids, but also to the team with you.
Correct.
So another thing to add on is like, you know, not just independence, but I think another factor is, you know, we have to be honest. We have to be honest with ourselves. We have to be honest with our kids. You know.
Yes.
And one of the things that people always say is we need to put ourselves in other people's shoes,
Right.
even though the shoes don't fit. We try to walk also.
Okay.
It's all about, you know, understanding orang kata apa? Nak kesederhanaan apa? What is the word in Malay? It's
Kesederhanaan apa?
kerjasama. Dan
Work,
saling.
working together.
I think the word is empathy lah. You know.
Empathy. Okay, betul.
Understanding lah.
Understanding. You know?
Understanding.
Kesefahaman.
And tolak ansur. Yeah, that's the.
Betul lah ansur.
Tolak ansur. Yeah. So.
Boleh sini.
Yeah. So with my kid, that's a type of you know, type of stance I like to take lah. Bertolak ansur lah. That means it's a give and take situation. I give you your freedom, but in return, you need to give me, you know, your commitment, your studies, you know.
Betul.
And I limit your screen time. You know, you can play with can have any. I don't even know your friends are. You know.
Yes,
The last time
yes.
my mom would ask me who you're going out with.
Betul.
Where you're going.
Tak kenal hafal
when you
nama
go back.
setiap seorang kan.
No, I don't think I can recollect also lah. As long as you know the boundaries.
Yes, correct.
And then that translates back into leadership, right? You give people, your team, their own
Freedom.
independence, their own way of working, but they also need to respect. Okay, deadline is deadline.
Yeah.
Kena submit by tarikh ni, submit by tarikh ni. Macam tu tak boleh nak pecah kepala lah kan.
Kena set boundaries lah. The keyword is to set boundaries.
Okay, I like this. So I guess then as leaders, right? What are the challenges in managing talent in a digital age? Talking about technology, talking about different generations. What are the challenges, I guess, to lead and also to parent with these
Challenge
technologies?
There's a lot of challenge. Maybe I can op one lah. Dissimilarities kids dengan our younger generation. So semuanya macam ada kurang kesabaran. So we need to elaborate back ataupun relate back dengan delayed gratification.
Delayed gratification. Okay.
I think said that kita kena tengok macam for example macam contoh my anak when we are watching movies together, dia pegang remote, so they keep on fast forward. They tak sabar, they don't have a passion to see what is the next result of this movie on this tak kisahlah.
Nak skip to the end je.
Skip. Then they keep on asking, what happened abah? This one, what happened abah? This one. Kita macam abang pun tak tengok habis lagi macam kita tahu. Kan? That kind of thing. So passion tu tak ada. So having said that, kenapa kita nak to roll out this concept of delayed gratification, because it's really important to build up dia punya passion. Sebab bila dia besar nanti, bila they have a future career, they have better option untuk dia jadi decision maker. So that's the most important thing lah.
Okay, so I guess that applies at work as well. So
Yes,
you need
correct.
to be able to teach the team to have delayed gratification.
Not to only our kids. A finding said that kita kena tengok delayed gratification is kejayaan yang tertangguh.
Oh, I like that.
Perlawanan adalah instant gratification. So when they have instant gratification tu, kita kena ajarkan sabar dulu, delayed gratification.
Yes.
Contoh macam dekat office kan, our team, kita kena tengok bila yang dia ada that instant gratification. So sometimes tengok kalau macam our team ni, kita buat kerja kejap je, kejap kan tengok handphone. Kita cakap pasal diri sendiri jugalah tengok sebab kita buat fokus tak boleh nak fokus, dia kejap tengok handphone. And somehow bila dia tengah buat kerja fokus, dia pergilah berborak dengan orang lain dan dia pergi ambil air, that kind of thing. So that is a signal of they're not having that proper delayed gratification. So we need to obviously see dia. Benda ni bukan berlaku dekat kita punya team je, kadang-kadang kat kita pun ada.
Yes.
Kan?
But I think it works both ways, like say when we want to praise somebody, I don't think we need to delay it. It should be instantaneous, to praise it should be on the spot when it happens. Praise
Appreciation,
the person. Appreciation, To reprimand is probably delayed,
Right,
We
right.
have to take a step back, think about it, think about the situation, what happens in that situation and why it happened, right? So, like I mentioned, it's like putting yourself in the other person's shoes.
Right. You need to empathize with them. You need to understand and celebrate their wins so that they feel more motivated to do better work, right?
Correct. Then the another challenge, just now your question is challenge in the digital era, right?
Betul.
For both parenting and
And
technology,
parenting and leadership.
in the leadership. So for the leadership, especially for the industry that involve two different generations. So if I want to group it, the older generation will come from the baby boomers and also the Generation X. While for the younger generation, usually come from Generation Z and also Generation Alpha and millennial part of it. So what we can see in these different generations, usually the baby boomers and Generations X, the what we call it, the rate of how they adopt to the technology is quite slow. Sebab dia bukan dilahirkan dengan era begitu.
Yep.
While untuk Generation Z, right, dan Alpha, diorang dilahirkan dengan handphone.
Yep.
Keluar-keluar je dah ada handphone.
Yes.
Terus angkat phone, hello mami, kan. So something like that.
Dari perut.
Dari perut. So apa yang berlaku? That is the challenge.
Right.
The challenge in this in today's punya era. So how we want to mitigate this challenge lah. Selain daripada communication yang kita cakap tadi tu, and there are another one that I want to add on is active listening.
Active
Okay,
listening.
active listening means listen, bukan listen macam tu saja. When we talk about communication, saya tak nak orang salah faham. Communication ni bukan kita datang ke anak kita, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi, bukan macam tu. It bukan the way of how we communicate, bukan the way how we present the communication. It's more on how you have the interaction in the communication, right? So untuk ada interaction tu, you need to have active listening. Active listening ni dalam layman term maksudnya bila orang bercakap, you are present kat sana lah. You are present kat sana.
You dengar dia cakap apa.
Correct. So macam parenting, bila ada technology gap tu, right? Bila kita nak tahu dengan anak kita apa ada technology gap dan sebagai challenge kan. So one thing that we can do is to show that we are active listening to them is, for example, I tunjuk I punya phone So dari phone kita boleh berlakon. So we are holding our phone and then kita main and then kita tunjuk yang kita sangat very fokus dengan phone ni. And then bila anak kita datang, then kita terus tutup and then kita terus tutupkan phone. And then
Dengar
we listen and then we have eye contact. Tapi bukan berlakon dengar.
Yes,
Bila anak
betul-betul dengar.
betul-betul dengar dan memahami. So that is the parenting, right? So kita faham apa teknologi gap dan sebagainya. Tapi untuk tempat kerja pula yang kita cerita pasal generation gap kan. So one of the thing is to continuous learn. Dua-dua generasi harus belajar. Bukan belajar pada satu masa saja. Continuously, berterusan. Continuously learn. So in order to adapt to the new technology and also learn about the wisdom on the process, is wisdom of collaboration. Right? Untuk baby boomers dan generation X katakan so diorang slow to adapt.
Right.
Jadi diorang boleh seek the discomfort to spend their time to learn macam mana teknologi ni bergerak. right? And then for the baby untuk apa ni Generation
Generation Z, yes.
dan Alpha dan apa ni Millennial, diorang boleh belajar dengan Generation X dan juga apa nama ni
Baby boomers.
So how to collaborate effectively dan sebagainya. So diorang boleh ambil apa nama ni, boleh ambil masa untuk belajar tentang metodologi dalam continuous improvement. Same, seek the discomfort. Sebab seek the discomfort in order to learn the new things, right? They work. Then that is how they can work together lah. One of the things yang bridging the gap, one of the method yang tadi I cakap tu mentoring, reverse mentoring,
Yes,
right?
you can
And then,
GE tu.
yeah. And then the another method is I have apa ni ada buat sedikit research lah, di mana apa nama ni yang berlaku dekat Microsoft. Microsoft in 2014. So dia perkenalkan growth mindset.
Growth mindset.
Masa tu CEO dia kalau tak silap saya Satya Nadella, something like that, right? So CEO dia adalah apa ni Generation X yang bekerja dengan baby boomers punya era lah. So dia perkenalkan growth mindset. And then dia shifted from know it all punya mindset, tahu semua, kepada learn it all punya mindset. So dia and then
know it all, learn it all.
yes, daripada know it all. Orang dulu dia kata kalau selalu ya bila kita berinteraksi dengan apa ni orang lama, right? Dia orang akan cakap, I tahu semua proses. But now you want to shift that mindset from know it all to learn it all. Sebab
Belajar
dulu
lagi.
belajar lagi. Sebab dulu memang kita dah tahu proses tu dah cantik dah.
Right.
Tapi tiba-tiba teknologi ni evolve sangat cepat.
Change.
Dia macam pokok yang menjalar sangat cepat tau. Right? So kita tak sedar pun. Jadi kadang-kadang benda yang cepat ni kita overwhelm, kita tak sempat nak belajar.
Right.
Tapi we still need to be a seek discomfort untuk belajar benda tu. One of the methodology yang macam tadi tu. And then another is Microsoft perkenalkan from know it all to learn it all punya mindset lah. And then some of the company diorang dah buat benda ni juga untuk mengcultivate kan learning culture ni. They introduce macam Lincoln Learning.
Yep.
Jadi you boleh belajar bila-bila masa kan. So you boleh spend your time to learn about the new technology and so on and so forth lah. So tapi learning ni dia kena jadi satu habit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dia bukan satu action, dia satu habit di mana okay hari ni I nak belajar. Itu apa yang Microsoft CEO try to do. So dia nak ada learning habit ni dekat semua staff dia. Tak kisahlah generation tua ke ataupun muda, something like that. So apa yang berlaku is kalau orang ni dia ada habit untuk belajar, buka mata je terus belajar. Yang kat sini pun ada nak belajar juga dan sebagainya. So bila semua orang ada habit tu, dia akan jadi budaya. Culture. Right? Sebab semua mempunyai learning punya apa nama ni habit lah.
Habits create a culture.
Correct.
So I think we've been too serious. Right? I think we need to take a break from this. I think I'm going to start with this is as a joke, okay?
Alright.
So I'm addressing it to you, Azizi, right? So since we have this generation gap, right? How people, when you say something in my generation, you say the same thing to the next generation, they understand it totally differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my question to you, Aziz, is how do you know you're a human?
I'm human.
You got feet,
Yeah.
hands,
Like what I am today.
you can speak, right?
Yes, correct.
So when you ask the younger generation, how do you know you're human? And then someone probably said, when you can click on the traffic lights.
Oh,
My
recapture. So masa nak masuk
recapture.
website dia,
You click on the
Oh,
traffic lights, you
gitu.
can click on the jambatan, or you can click on the boats.
Click on the bicycle.
usually I
Also
fail to
bicycle.
identify myself as a human tau. Sebab selalu fail.
That means you're not.
I'm not human, I don't know what.
Okay.
Right,
So,
right.
Okay.
I think
It's confirmed you're human. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've had like a really great conversation today.
Great.
We've discovered why is this topic so important. Because new generations will always come, and in order for us to understand each other better, and then what strategies do we have to bridge this generational gap through effective communication, through empathy, celebrating each other's independence, but also leading by example as leaders. Also cultivating that habit and culture of continuous learning. So all of these are recipes not just towards effective parenting, but also to become great leaders in bridging generational gaps. So let's try and take one or two questions from the audience. I think the questions are not appearing on the screen.
No questions. Very good.
No questions.
Great.
That's great.
Because we answered already clear.
Yeah, already. Okay, bagus lah.
Okay, we'll just wait until. Tapi I like how you guys have incorporated your own personal stories. Apa nama dia? It's not just kiranya this topic of generational gap ni bukan sahaja dekat rumah,
Yes.
but it's everywhere that we see.
Correct. And sometimes we unconsciously though, kan, especially for ASEAN punya, kan, unconsciously kita cerita pasal generation gap.
Yeah.
Contoh, kadang-kadang ibu bapa dia kata, kalau you jumpa orang tua, you kena hormat.
Yes.
Right?
betul.
So kita kadang tak sedar, sebenarnya itulah perbincangan generation gaps. So kita tahu, bila jumpa, kita kena hormat. Cuma mungkin apa yang kita boleh tambah lah kan.
Yes,
Selepas ni adalah, that respect actually is not come from one way. Tak
Yes.
kisahlah dia generation apa ni, muda ke tua,
Betul.
dia kena bagi kedua-dua hal
Betul.
juga.
I think I've had I've had an English teacher of mine. She taught me a very important lesson. She mentioned that respect is not just a one-way street.
Correct.
Dia kata you kena hormat cikgu, cikgu pun kena hormat you juga as students, provided that both respect each other lah.
Correct. Dia macam mana nak hormat tu? Communication.
Communication and empathy that you mentioned just now.
And just now, like you mentioned, when you say about hormat, also trust follows the same way.
Trust. Yep.
Trust trust can be given, it must be gained, earned.
Trust need to be earned. Correct.
Betul. I feel like that trust needs to be earned, but also you need to know.
Ada soalan.
Oh, dah ada. Okay.
Saya nampak ada soalan, mana jubah?
Mana je.
Tak nampak, tak
I guess
nampak soalan.
trust needs to be earned, but also sometimes you just need to reel it in, right? Sometimes you need to be the parent.
Yes.
Sometimes you need to be the leader.
Yeah,
Kadang-kadang
betul.
kita tak boleh nak give in sangat kan.
Yeah,
Kadang kita
correct.
kena
Okay, I think
tahu where's the boundaries.
Question
Okay,
jawab.
we're back. Let's see which questions.
Jubah, sport shoes.
What point?
Okay, so question from Babe. At
Babe.
one point in life, does the generation gap seem to be the largest?
At one point in life, maybe I can take this.
Can.
Sure, yeah. At one point in life, does the generation gap seem to be the largest? Let's say you ask me this question, is at any point in life. In any point in life when you fail to communicate, means either in life, in the parents, let's say you fail to communicate with kids, then there's a largest gap already.
Yep.
If let's say in the work, also the same. If let's say you fail to communicate this generation gap between the workers and leaders, is already have a largest gap. So how to what we call that, mitigate this? How to avoid this? Again, is communication. It's not only communications; it's active listening.
Communication and active listening.
Active listening.
They come together.
Correct. They come
Right.
together. You have to be there,
Right.
right? You have to be there. And then I'd like to highlight about one of the habit that I learned from Stephen Covey books, from the 7 Habit, right? The 5th habit mentioned that first is to understand, then to be understood. Nowadays, regardless generations, usually when something happens, we always think about ourselves first. So when we think about ourselves, usually we'll fail to manage our emotion very well. Because kita fikir diri kita sendiri dulu. Bila kita marah, kita terus, apa ni?
Kita let it out. Yep.
But in the 5th habit, first is to understand, means you have to put yourself in other people's shoes. You have to understand, masa tu kita tengah marah. Tapi, kita biar marah tu flow into our mind first.
Sure. You
Yes.
talking about marah kan?
Yes.
So it's all about managing emotion kan? We
Correct.
didn't talk about this. I'm not that good in managing emotion.
I see.
Maybe can we have time to
Boleh?
We have
Ada
time.
masa
explain
lagi?
on the imaging emotion?
Yeah, should be like one or
One or two
two.
sentences.
Okay. Macam mana nak manage?
Yes,
Dia
right.
marah saya. Tak ada.
Just
So,
to sharing lah.
correct. So the tips lah, ni selalu apa yang I buat lah. Sebab previously when I was consultant, that managing emotion is very important. Betul. Bila you cerita dengan klien you, kadang-kadang
Yes.
you nak marah tapi tak boleh.
Yes.
Right? So what you need to do is, bila you marah, katakan you tak boleh control, you berdiri dan you beredar daripada tempat tu. Kalau you boleh control, then it's okay. Kalau you try to take a breath first, tarik nafas, and then after that, let that emotion flow into your mind first. So your mind will tell you, remember the 5th habit. First is to understand, then to be understood. So you need to understand why the people behave like what they behave. Right? So when we know, our behavior will become flexible.
Right.
Because we manage our emotion, then our behavior also flexible. Then we know, actually, this guy, they behave like this is because of what? Right? Then the action, now the emotion, you changing. From anger, you become understand, you become empathy. Then from the emotion, become motion, and then you can collaborate very well with the one that talk to you, communicate with you.
Okay.
So talk about the gaps just now, like I mentioned, the most important is communication, active listening. When you active listening, all the leadership trait will come to you. manage emotion, flexible behavior,
Empathy.
Yeah, empathy. Correct.
Okay. I think this is very succinct, very comprehensive, and I hope that answers that question from just now. Okay, we'll have time for one more question. A question from Hash. Which generation, in your opinion, is the best in terms of work ethics? Okay. I guess all generations have their plus and minuses, right? Sebab because we live in our generation, right? So we will always see other generations as
We learn each other.
yeah.
If let's say you say, if let's say you say, hey, my generation is the best, then it becomes versus.
Yeah.
Right? But if let's say you say all the generation is best, it's the matter of how we collaborate each other.
Betul.
Then it's like win-win situation.
So I have this experience also with one of the previous managers of mine said the same thing, when we make decisions in that situation, it's the best decision we made at that time.
Yes. There
It's
will
not
never
the wrong.
be a perfect
There's not a wrong
solution.
decision.
Yes.
At that
betul.
time, it was the best decision, and then we reflect on that, right?
Betul. Because
There's no wrong or right.
what was perfect
Yeah,
10 years ago
could change.
might be irrelevant now.
Correct.
Kan?
Correct. And that's why we need to understand the generation gap.
Yes.
Yes.
Betul.
I think that's why we
I
come to
feel
the.
like we've come back full circle,
Yeah.
guys.
I think that's why we can come to the end of our podcast.
We benda kita now.
I want to be a professional podcast.
What time now?
Okay lah. I guess that we've come full circle. And I guess before we end the podcast, then maybe anybody would like to give one or two ending remarks, key takeaways for the audience, to reflect on. Anybody?
You can summarize. You want to
So,
start?
start with
For me, based on kita punya discussion, kita punya point here is that people share their life stories and experience, kan, we need to appreciate it. Jangan sombong, jangan cepat melata.
Correct.
And then takes time to digest it because it's all about personal life and juga family dan juga works. So if we can tolerate that one, kita akan we will have our good teamwork sama ada di family ataupun di office.
Teamwork, right?
Teamwork.
So for me, it's more about resilience. Standing in the cause. Never giving up. It's about we call it hardworking. How we stay the cause. To present it, whichever generation we are. Don't give up easily. Right.
I like what we call that, the key takeaway from what we call Azizi about teamwork. The older generation and the younger generation, they need to work together. That's about the teamwork. And then talk about the hard work is also the same thing, because we have to be in the discomfort zone to learn about the new thing, because we need to adapt with the current generation. And I would like to add some more integrity, because I would like to talk about the Generation Z, because Generation Z, based on my experience, they are very enthusiastic. They like everything to be fast, like everything to be simple. Sometimes they forget about the compliance on the process. They forgot about the risk, right? So they need to have an integrity when they do the things, right? And then after integrity is nurturing. Nurturing is about continuous learning. Continuous what we call it improving, right? Then the last one, when the continuous learning is knowledgeable, they have the knowledge, and then to really prepare themselves, right, in this changes around. After generation Alpha, we do not know what is the next generation, maybe generation Beta. So if let's say the interesting part,
AI.
So if interesting part, if let's say you see a teamwork, hardworking, integrity, nurturing, and knowledge. So if let's say you combine the first letter, it's a think.
It's a think.
THINK.
Wow.
Right? So that is actually
You guys are well prepared for this podcast.
This is actually
spontaneous. Baru fikir tadi.
Very good, very good.
core values of
Okay.
CGC.
Yeah, that's the core value.
I see. Okay.
Boleh izinkan saya nak habiskan dengan pantun?
Boleh.
Yang ni
Okay.
kita dah prepare daripada tahun lepas.
Okay. Sure.
Satu je pantun.
Satu pantun.
Closing.
Closing pantun. Okay.
Betul gini. Betul. Anak muda berlari ke taman, mencari bunga di pagi hari. Generasi lama penuh pengalaman, generasi baru penuh inspirasi.
Wow.
That's it. Okay.
Awesome. Okay. And with that, concludes our podcast for today. Thank you so much everyone for listening, and hope to see you in the next one. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Great.